All right, let's rock and roll, Mod. You ready,
Yeah,
brother?
good to be here with you, Billy.
Let's go. All right, guys, this is going to be the most informational, educational, motivational podcast that the solar industry has ever seen.
Just like you to set the bar high. Come on.
Let's go. Let's rock and roll. Hey, guys, this is Mod. If you guys don't know, he is the GOAT, the GOAT, greatest of all time in the solar industry, the Tom Brady of the solar industry. He sold not just millions of watts in the solar industry, but tens of millions of watts in the solar industry. The creator of the Mod Sales Academy and the author of the incredible book, link in bio, No Matter What. And one of my biggest inspirations for when I first got into the solar industry, I remember watching that very first video with Solar Cheat Code and had like $2 in my bank account. And I can say, thanks to you, 2 years later, I've been able to do 7 figures myself. My team has done tens of millions of dollars in commissions. And dude, you're responsible for hundreds of millions of dollars in commissions and billions of dollars in the solar industry. So,
God, how do I get my override on that?
I don't know, but
people ask me all the time, why are you doing this? You have a solar company, you're selling solar. Why are you doing it? That's why, to have known that there's folks that are out there helping this planet, helping themselves, helping their families, and I had a tiny bit to do with it. That just that's the inspiration right there.
That's it. So guys, we're going to make this incredible. I'm going to get right into it. But first, we're in Dallas, Texas. You had an incredible week. You spoke 8 hours yesterday.
8 hours yesterday, and then was at a recruiting event a couple days before that, and then we did a half-day seminar, and I only spoke 2 hours at that, so it's been light on that standpoint.
But it's awesome that we're here before you head back to Phoenix, before we...
And thank you for the bio, by the way. I don't know if I can carry the Tom Brady mantle, but to hear somebody say it gives me chills. But I have to tell you, what I'm most excited about in my bio is I have knocked doors and self-gen 65 kilowatts of solar sales this week.
This week?
On top of all that other stuff you just said. So that's what I'm proud of. Selling solar with guys that are coming up, showing them how to set the appointment, how to make the presentation. How many people make a presentation with 3 guys with them? Do you mind if these 3 guys are with us in the presentation? But that's what it looked like. And that's where it's at. That's where the money is, by the way. You're not paying me much to be here. So I think it's zero, right? Just about everything pays pretty close to zero except for selling solar. So if you've promoted yourself above selling solar, you've promoted yourself out of the money. So don't forget, go sell some solar as well.
That's it. Well, we're going to get right into it. What in the heck happened with the Arizona Utility Commission the last couple weeks and months? I know it's kind of like two-sided facts of what's really going on. Are they for the green, clean energy? Are they not? What was your experience in working with them?
Well, so this is going from a gold rush into a war. This is a full-blown war over how fast, how soon we will stop using fossil fuel energies for, 80, 90% of what the world needs for energy. And not everybody's happy about that, and some people want that to take a long time. Some people want it to be happening overnight. It's going to be somewhere in the middle, but the Arizona Corporation Commission, their job is to set the price of what the kilowatt costs the consumer, and that's from the monopoly, right? The big utility companies in Arizona are the monopolies. But on the other side of the equation, you have all of the consumers who've gone solar producing power. It's the same commodity, a kilowatt hour. And for some reason, the Arizona Corporation Commission has agreed with the big utility monopolies that commodity is worth, 15, 20, 30 cents on one side of the meter, but, should really be heading towards 3 cents on the other side of the meter. So we found out that the annual 10% step down, which for some reason APS prices are a multiple of the consumers, but their price is going up, and the consumer's price that if they go solar, they'll get locked into is a lower and lower price. Somebody had the bright idea that was a subsidy. So some brand new commissioner gets the bright idea that the solar industry is mature now. They shouldn't need a subsidy. This commodity that's being priced over here to a monopoly, that's a fair price at 30 cents. And really, it can't get to 3 cents on this side of that meter anytime fast enough. So he puts out an amendment that it should not just drop 10%, but should drop a whole big chunk of the way to what the industry calls the replacement cost, or the sort of the manufacturing cost. The idea is that why should a public utility who's a monopoly pay 8 cents, 10 cents, 20 cents for this commodity when they can make it for 3? But why can't we get these people to take a look at why should this entity who's invested money to make kilowatt hours, oh, and by the way, those are dirty kilowatt hours. Those are, fossil fuel kilowatt hours for the most part. Why should they get a better price and a different price than this customer over here who's also invested money to produce this commodity? They're generating kilowatt hours into the local, neighborhood, clean power, no water, no emissions, and it's being sold to the neighbor with no big transmission lines, none of this stuff. Why should that be worth 3 cents? It's a despicable idea. It's carried through. We just saw California NEM 3.0. How did Gavin Newsom somehow agree with the fossil fuel industry that the consumer should go from 40 cents on how much they're being paid for their production now to drop to 3 or 4 cents? And that's what California is dealing with the NEM 3.0. So the world, you cannot stop an idea whose time has come. Not even an army can stop that idea. So this is happening. We are going to renewable energy, but not everybody's happy about it. There are dark forces aligned against it. We're coming from a point where maybe 20 years ago, there were 20 entities on the planet that owned the means of production for energy, and now that's being distributed, right? Distributed, decentralized, and deregulated. Warren Buffett calls that the largest transformation of wealth in the history of mankind.
Wow.
And are there billionaires that are happy about that transformation? The things that are going on in the industry with the IRA, that now has passed massive amounts of money moving into the industry. But that means that there are massive banks of money that are not happy that you cannot use fossil fuel power to deliver your product and service without also cleaning up the mess. It's a big, big, big thing.
It's wild. And what always blows my mind is that we're kind of right in the middle of it. Like this morning we got to hang out with Sam Taggart, arguably one of the biggest names in the solar industry, founder of Door to Door Con, right? And we hang out with all the people that are really leading the charge, right?
Yeah.
Yourself included.
Yeah.
And I just think it's pretty wild to think that I saw your first video about 3 years ago when my back was against the wall. Well, I tried entrepreneurship for 6-7 years, and when I got into the industry, thanks to a lot of the philosophies and technology that you were teaching, I was able to change my life financially for my family and was able to help my friends a lot.
And that's the inspiration. And
Yeah.
there's a lot more room for a lot of folks. It's good news that we're going from a gold rush to a war. In a gold rush, you might have like 6 or 7 pikers get rich, and then 50,000 people follow, and they don't get rich. The guys who get rich in a gold rush are the guys that are selling picks and shovels. But this is a war. We're the soldiers in that war, the bullets in that war, our solar panels. The government has passed a bill that's going to put over $1 trillion into our hands to hand out to the consumers and to businesses that go solar. There's going to be a lot more people get a lot more wealthy in the process of, getting the mission of this war accomplished.
100%. And it just, again, like I was saying, it's like it kind of blows my mind because when I first started, I really struggled my first 2.5 months. I don't know if you were able to have success your first day, your first week, your first month, but I did not. And it didn't happen for me for 3 months. And so it's interesting because I think a lot of people, and even 2 years from now, there's going to be somebody that comes into the industry brand new. 2 years from now, we're talking like 2025, that struggles. And then they go on to create, hundreds of millions of dollars in commissions like we have, right? And so with that being said, how have you, with everything going on, right, interest rates and inflation and saturation, everything that, people use as excuses for why they're not producing, how have you guys been able to maintain the production that you've been able to maintain while a lot of people in the industry have not?
Well, my first period of time in the industry was very successful for a couple of reasons. One, I started selling solar in 1983.
Yeah.
And I learned how to sell solar by guys that knew how to do it. And so I wasn't out there in the home at the kitchen table wondering what to do. I knew what to do. I just followed the directions and it worked almost every single time. So I think I sold my first 9 out of 10. Sits that I was in. That was in 1983. Tax credits ended. I come back into solar in 2015. We start Sun Solar Solutions in 2015, and I know how to sell solar. But now I've also got a burning desire to prove to my wife that I can get off this corporate America 6-figure salary, jump into a straight commission deal, and somehow pay for this, lifestyle with kids in college. And I got a $200,000 a year nut. How are you going to do that on straight commission with no transition? So it was a huge challenge, and so I had a huge fire under my ass. And I probably sold the first 9 out of 10 appointments that I went on again and say, look, honey, we can do this. We just made more money in the last 10 days than I would have made in a whole quarter. over at this corporate America job. I said, so we're going to cut the cord, hand in the keys to the company car, and launch into some rental car. I still don't own a car, by the way, so I haven't owned a car in decades. So I drove company cars when I was in corporate America.
Yeah.
I drove a rental car for the first 7 months. I think I put like 40,000 miles on a rental car, and then I've been driving a Sun Solar Solutions company truck ever since.
That's awesome.
So that was that. But how did we transition? So we actually, like everyone else, experienced a bit of a downturn when the cost of 25-year financing literally doubled, tripled, right? The cost of solar went up about 40%. And we saw companies like, Sunrun, Sun Powered, their sales drop 40%, 50%. The entire industry experienced that. If you were out knocking on doors going, hey, go solar, it's cheaper. Oh, wait, it's not really that much cheaper, right? We got dependent on 25-year financing, making the payment for solar to be, I don't know, 40, 50 bucks, maybe $100 in California, cheaper. So, hey, go solar, it's cheaper. Now, one of the advantages that we had is that we lost net metering in 2017, right? That's what, California just went through. So in Arizona, APS took away net metering, and that changed in 2017. So we've been selling solar, even though it really hasn't been cheaper for a long time, which means, and this is good news, we have to learn what the actual value of solar is. And that's what's going to happen with the Arizona Corporation Commission. They're literally going to open up this conversation to what is the value of solar. Is it merely the replacement cost at the utility? That's just a terrible idea. So they're going to open up that conversation and say, what is the value? Do we not need water? We don't need to have emissions spew. Do we not need all sorts of these transmission lines to get the power from your house to my house when you have it? Do we need to put these batteries into place? So, that's a big conversation. But so in Arizona, we had a bit of an advantage in that we lost net metering a long time ago. So we've been selling the value of solar. And what's the value of solar? It's a superior financial strategy. And our sales over this summer are up higher than they were the year before. So we're setting records. We're breaking, creating new ground into the sales. But really, what we're really looking forward to is we're going to be expanding into other states now. And so that's a lot of my attention as well.
That's awesome. It's really cool to be able to travel around and see the different utility companies. Like Oklahoma's got OG&E, Florida's got Duke and FPL, Arizona, obviously SRP and APS. Yep. Texas, we've got dozens and dozens and dozens of utility companies.
Texas is a strange animal. I've been spending a fair amount of time here, particularly very, very recently, and it's a deregulated market. So what we're dealing with is, in most of the markets, electricity is regulated. And one of the surprises, and this is going to be a big, huge help to us, we've been selling solar when it's 40% more expensive, but our competition, which isn't the other solar companies, the competition is the utility.
Right.
Well, their prices haven't jumped up as fast. Why is that? Well, that's because it takes 2 years to get a price increase through that deregulation process. Well, guess what? That's happening now. All over the country, you're seeing 20%, 30%, 40% increases. We sell solar in Tucson, and they just had their latest price increase. There were line items that went up 67% year over year. And why is that? That's because the cost of fossil fuel power and producing it is getting much, much more expensive. So that's great news for the renewable energy world, for the solar, for the solar sales world. We're now competing against something that's more realistic of what does it really cost to produce that power. And we have seen nothing yet, because what's going to happen over the next 3 to 5 years is the real cost of fossil fuels is going to get brought to the table. What's the real cost? Well, when you make all this power, you also spew all this pollution, all this emission, all these carbon emissions. You use massive amounts of water. I live in a desert, and the second biggest use of water after agriculture is power plants. And so we're using all that water. That's just a waste of that's not a precious, that's just, priceless. Water's priceless when you live in the desert. And they just get to use it and spew, and now they go, whoa, that's not going to happen anymore. The United States government has decided that's over. And so now those, entities, including households that want to use fossil fuel energy, they can continue to do that. It's not going to be illegal. It's just going to be dreadfully more expensive.
Yeah, it's a wild industry. I pinch myself every single day, just all the craziness that really goes on. But I think the biggest thing is for the reps and for the leaders in the industry that are watching this right now, which I know a lot of you guys are going to be watching this, and we're definitely getting value from this right now. So we appreciate you so much, Mod. We love you. But for the reps that are watching this right now, what would you say is like the most important characteristic that a solar company should have for a rep and for a leader to be able to have a good experience at that solar company?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
It's going to be way different than you think. Have a great product. If you're out selling, and you and I teach people how to sell, the real aspect of what's happening in sales is you're transferring confidence and conviction at the moment of truth to the consumer. If you don't feel that confidence, if you don't have that conviction, it's impossible to transfer it to someone else. And so what gives me confidence is knowing that what I've told the customer will happen is nowhere near as good as what's going to actually happen. And so if you're out selling solar and you're running all over the country, or you work for a company named after a fruit and you don't even know who's going to show up at the door, can you really attest to the fact that that's going to be a great product? That you have a company that's going to be side by side with you as a partner, making sure that product gets delivered for 25 years? Do you have confidence about that? If you're a sales rep, you're a CEO. If you're on straight commission, you're an independent contractor. You're the one who's going to decide what the product is that gets delivered to the customer. And if you don't feel just as good about that as you do about the commission that you get made, and I'm sorry, but solar's been all about, hey, get into solar, you can make big commissions. Well, the time has come where you need to consider the fact that you're using your name, your reputation to say to somebody else, this is a great move for your family. This is a great product. It's going to do what I say it's going to do, and it's going to do it for not years, but decades.
Yep.
So if you don't have absolute certainty about that, and you're showing somebody something and hoping that it gets installed sometime in the next year, and hoping that it costs what it costs, and hoping that the roof doesn't leak, and hoping that you don't get that phone call, a year from now going, how do I have a $200 bill and a $200 solar bill?
Right.
Well, I don't know. I clicked on the buttons and the panels and, it didn't work out. Sorry about that. You have to know what your product's going to do. It needs to be engineered to do what you say it's going to do, and then it needs to deliver that. So if you're a sales rep, you want to work for a company that knows how to show you how to sell it, but more importantly, that company at the end of the day delivers a product that is, a very, very good product with a great warranty and a great company behind it. And by the way, if you're running around trying to make an extra nickel, what's your red line? What's your red line? And you're all about what's your red, I'm such a good person that I have such a low red line. If you have such a low red line that it's not possible to deliver a great product because you can't hire a safety guy, or you can't have, a quality guy, or you can't have actual engineers pulling permits and actually making sure the solution is what it needs to be. If there's not enough money left in that project to do that, you're not going to be delivering a great product. And you know what? You're the problem.
Yep.
You're the one that said, I'm not going to work unless I get, 1/3 of the purchase price of this product. Is the salesperson worth 1/3 of the purchase price of a product? That's just not realistic. If the salesperson takes 1/3, there's not enough money left to deliver the product and make sure that the other entities involved are healthy. So, and I'm a sales guy. Yep. I want as much money as I can, but how do I get as much money as I can? It's not by a quick hit. It's not by wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. I've been at the same damn company since day one. Now, I think part of that has to do with me being a part of a couple other partners that have made it a great company. But it wasn't a great company when we started. It was just a name. But we wanted it to be a great company. We put a lot of our resources, and I made a lot less money per watt than everyone else in the industry because we built a sales operation that called the customer the next day, that made sure that the installer was doing exactly what they were supposed to do. My partner Val made sure that happened, and because of that, my confidence grew and grew. My number of sales to installs was always very, very high, much higher than the rest of the industry. Most of the time my phone rings, it's with another referral. I literally have thousands of customers calling me with referrals all of the time from day one. My claim to fame is that I've been in solar this time for 8 years, and I've never had to change my cell phone number. I haven't changed my cell phone number since 1989. I've had my cell phone number longer than you've been alive, probably most of the people in the solar industry be alive. And that phone rings with referrals.
Yep.
And if that's not happening for you, you're missing out on where the real money is. The real money doesn't come from making a sale. The real money comes from building a business, and you're the CEO of a business. Is that business growing or declining? Does it have to start over every year and a half because it's built on quicksand and you need to run away from the quicksand? If that's the case, you need to look at it and say, what I really want to do is build a business and become a businessman that's really bringing true value. Great businesses make money because they deliver great value.
Boom.
You can only fool people for a while, right? And then that catches up with you.
Yep. Sean Covey wrote a book. It's called Speed is Trust and Trust is Speed. And if you don't trust the people, the products, the process, that you're going to be like, well, maybe you're going to be second guessing things a lot instead of taking action, right? So the big thing that we talk is just, hey, make sure that you trust everything. So,
and you're the boss of that.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
You're the boss of that. CEO, you're the boss of that.
Yep.
CEO of that independent contractor. You make those decisions.
Yep. So, we read a lot of books too. I think readers are leaders, right? So speaking about leadership, what would you say? And I think solar does sell itself, right? So it's not a matter of being able to be really, really good at selling solar and everything like that. But how do you transition from being a good sales rep, right? Because I think it's not that hard to be a sales rep. You just have to know the process. You got to be trustworthy. You got to be able to explain how solar works, then have a good back end process. But for guys that are in a really good sales spot right now, they've got the numbers to speak for themselves. What would be your advice for them for how to transition from being a sales rep into being a sales leader?
Well, first of all, I would say stop trying to get promoted, right?
Yeah.
The last job you want is the regional this, the global that, the whatever, because those guys don't make any money.
Yep.
I have a couple of those titles, and I don't get paid shit for that.
Right.
Right. What I get paid shit for is selling solar. That job pays really, really well. So what I recommend to somebody who's doing well and wants to become a leader is don't get promoted. Just lead. How do you lead? You recruit somebody into your organization, which is just you. You don't want a big organization. And you don't even want a team. You want a squad. And the squad is you and one door knocker, right? And for me, that was my daughter, right? My daughter, and then she recruited her BFF cousin, my niece, right? Those two are both in solar today still.
Wow.
And so that was the beginning of my squad. So there's a recipe. And if you want to get a title, go get promoted. That's fun. I did that for 25 years. I got titles. I got promoted. Every time I got promoted, I made less money.
Really?
Why? Because my job became herd cats.
Yeah.
And that doesn't pay. And to support people who are making more money than me. And I didn't like that part as much, right? So I want to be the guy. I want to be Tom Brady. I want to be in the pocket. I don't want to be on the sidelines with a clipboard. I want to be in the pocket, calling the plays. And I am a leader, right? But I'm not on the sidelines. So I'm in the pocket, I'm calling plays, and what I'm doing is I'm recruiting one person to come work with me by saying, hey, you know what? I make a lot of money. Look at the money that I'm making. I used to make the money you make. Now I make this money. Let me show you how to do that. Come with me tomorrow. Meet me at Starbucks at 10 o'clock in the morning. And then just keep making those dates. Keep showing people how to do it. Most of them won't stick, but then one will stick. And then two will stick. The recipe, so my book is called No Matter What, The Recipe to a Seven-Figure Income. If what you want is a seven-figure income as opposed to a title, then the way to do that is to follow the recipe. And the recipe is be in 3 or 4 presentations every day and close almost all of them, right? Well, you can't close almost all of them if you don't have 3 or 4 appointments a day, 3 or 4 sits a day. So how are you going to do that? You need one person to work with you setting appointments, and now you and them are setting appointments. And then you go into an appointment and they keep going, right? And then you come out, how'd you do? Well, did you make any appointments? No. Well, what'd they say? Well, this guy said da-da-da-da-da-da-da, but he seemed interested, but he said he had to talk to his wife. All right, let's go back and talk to that person, right? And what about this guy? Why did you put a blue pin on this flag? Well, that's because he said he didn't need us because he just signed up for solar yesterday. Okay, well, let's go talk to that guy. Maybe he'd like to see an additional quote. Why didn't this person? What happened here? You got another blue pin over here. Yeah, they said they were going to go solar in about a year, and they were going to call us. Wow, that's an awful idea, right? That's just literally devastating from a results consequence to them. Let's go talk to them. So you can pop out of that appointment and go talk to hot doors. Meanwhile, your one door appointment setter is seeing you overcome objections and close for the appointment. Right? So now you're selling and you're knocking on doors at the same time, but you're not knocking on doors. And then you're overcoming objections and showing people how to really close for appointments while you're training at the same time. That's what's called intentional convergence. It's all happening. And then they recruit their BFF cousin, or you find another person to set. Now you got 2 or 3. Now you can do the actual recipe, which is being 3 or 4 presentations every day. Now you're going to need great training to close almost all of them. I can tell you where you can find that training. So if you're closing 3 out of 4, by the way, you don't need to recruit. You'll have a line of people coming to you saying, how can I be on your team? Yep. How can I set for you? I'm setting for someone who's closing the industry average of 18%, 1 out of 5. And you're closing 3 out of 4. How can I work for you and be on your team? You don't have to do a lot of recruiting when you're closing at that level. And then that's going to turn into one of those folks getting promoted to being a closer. And now you're a team with 2 closers. And you know this person can close because you're the one who taught them. They've seen you close 20 times, 30 times. They've been in the house with you on their appointments. They watch their appointments turn into money. And now you got you and one other person. And this is what I've spent the last 7 or 8 years doing, is not trying to run the world, but to actually just have a squad of people that is making me a 7-figure income while they're stepping up into their 7-figure incomes. One of my greatest joys is, pointing at folks that I know make a 7-figure income because they came up, through that process. And does the picture get bigger? Yes, it does, right? So, but you still have to modify that so that there's intentional convergence where you are also still selling solar. You're still out in the field. You're leading from the front. When you get yourself into a job where you're back there looking at spreadsheets and all you're doing all day is working on spreadsheets and comp plans and stuff like that. One, you're not making a lot of money because that job does not pay well, right? And then number 2, is that, did you accomplish anything by getting promoted into that spot? So that's my advice: is stop trying to get promoted. Stop trying to be the name of the solar company. Like, you can do that. You can start your own solar company tomorrow, and then you get the 10 cents for doing whatever. But then what you're going to find out is, it costs more than 10 cents to do that other work. And you ended up not only making less per deal, but now you're selling a third or a half, because now you're only spending a third of your time selling. And it's not what you're about anymore. And if you're an entrepreneur and you want to start a company, starting a solar company can be a great thing, but you're not going to make a lot of money starting a solar company. You're going to make a lot less than you did as the number 1 guy on the leaderboard, at your company.
Boom. If I was Brad Lee, I'd be clicking that button right now that says dropping bombs. Yeah. So, you mentioned you've been in the industry for, 7, 8 years. And obviously you started back in the late 80s, which is, I think, just a testament to you, for sure, right? So I think a lot of people would be very curious in this next question, which is, what is the most exciting thing that Michael O'Donnell sees on the horizon in the solar industry? Well,
I can't sleep at night because I can see the future coming. I mean, I wake up and I just see it, and there it is. And, I'm preparing for that future. And so the last 7 years, we always can see the past is in 2020, vision, clarity. In the past, the entire solar industry, every big deal guy, me, you, all of them, we managed to sell 3 million solar systems, right? Out of 65 million homes that are suitable for solar. In the next 7 years, we're going to sell 30 million, 10x the number of solar systems. So to me, that's massively exciting. What does that mean for a sales rep, though? What caused me to do 2.56 million watts of solar in 2017 was that I thought solar was over. I'm like, I found this thing where I'm making $100,000 a month, and now it's over. The tax credits were going away, literally going away. And in my market, net metering was gone. How the hell is solar going to work without net metering? How is solar going to stand on its own? And so those 2 things made me think that literally, God dang it, it's over. I got 6 months left to live. And at that moment, I started looking like someone who had 6 months to live. And that's the guy who created a 2.56 megawatt year and crashed through that thing only to find out, the deadline July 1st. And Val says, well, I got bad news and good news. I go, well, what's the bad news? The bad news is you're not going to Italy tomorrow like you planned to. The good news is they extended the deadline for 2 more months. And I thought, oh my God, can I keep up this pace for 2 more months? And you know what I found out? Yeah. What does it look like? looks like someone who understands the opportunity and is reacting appropriately. And what's appropriate reaction to that? It means you're getting up in the morning every day, right? It means you're not up at 3 in the morning playing video games or Netflixing some binge. And every day, I mean like 6-7 days a week, right? You're getting up in the morning and you're just doing and taking advantage of the opportunity, and you're winding things down around 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, and you're hurrying up to get to bed so you can do it again the next day. That's what the appropriate response is to finding yourself in a gold rush, which is what we were in 2015, 16, 17, 18, an absolute gold rush. But I realized that urgency was not the customer's urgency. I was the one experiencing, I was the one acting like I had 6 months to live, not the customer. They just believed me. They had 6 months to live, So if I'm going to see it's going to have to be at 10 o'clock at night, I'm going to swing by. You better have your pen ready to sign documents. Today's the last day. So where am I going after this? I've been living in a van down by the river. My 65 kilowatts sold last week. We're in Tucson, Arizona. Guess what's in Tucson, Arizona? It's the deadline. Mr. Customer, it's the last 17 days that you can possibly even imagine being able to go solar. Pause. And get the same deal your neighbors got, because they're grandfathered into that. You're not. It's going away. So the reason that I'm here is we got a very, very short amount of time. This is unbelievably important for the following reasons. And so let's do this. Let's get these numbers over here. You still have time. We couldn't possibly get you solar by October 1st. But you don't need to. We just need to get your reservation. So I'll get the numbers over here and you'll tell me, Mike, I want that reservation. We can take care of that, make that happen. And then you'll have all the time in the world for us to get that thing on the roof and, for you to start producing solar power. But you cannot make that decision without the numbers. So let's get those numbers over here. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And so just, doing that. So where I'm leaving, I'm getting on a plane, and guess where I'm going?
Back
Tucson, Arizona.
Yeah, back to the river.
Deadline is a week from yesterday, and I got 3-4 crews and Airbnbs. I got my Tucson teams there. I got my Phoenix teams in Tucson. I'm going to come in hot from Dallas back to Tucson, and we're going to serve customers. If we can't get to a customer and help them understand, they're just sitting there sucking on this lollipop. The lollipop says, I don't need solar. I'm okay with solar. I'll look into solar someday. I don't really need it right now. That's not really a big problem. And the job that we have, it's not talking to people that are interested in solar. It's talking to people that are sucking on this little lollipop going, I don't need solar. I'm fine. I'm with that. Walk up to them. Oh, hey, how are you doing? Hey, can I pop? Lollipop. Boom, in the dirt. Hey, your lollipop's in the dirt. I don't know if I'm talking you into a solar appointment today, but you ain't going to be sucking on that lollipop after this conversation at your door. You're going to be going, I think I'm kind of doomed that I'm not going solar, right? And if we're not having that impact, then we're not doing it right. So, how do we sharpen our skills to be of service? That's a service, by the way. And that service is worth $1 million. I was at SolarCon this year, and I keep meeting all these people that tell me, talking to 30, 40 people a day that are not interested in solar, what am I wasting my time? Why am I out there on somebody's doorstep talking to some raggedy, mean, hostile, crazy person that's not interested in solar? Why don't I just sit on my ass in an air-conditioned building with a headset on and just talk to 5 people a day who are interested in solar? Damn it, why didn't I think of that? And I got nothing against virtual sales. I did virtual sales in 2020 during COVID. And what I found out is I had to work like 3 times as hard to sell half as much. So I'm not against folks being in a call center and paying for leads, paying for appointments, and paying for marketing. I pay for marketing. I do a lot of marketing. I just don't want those appointments because the people who respond to marketing are shoppers. So I'd rather knock a door and find someone not interested in solar, do my job, provide my service to the planet, which is to take someone who's not interested in solar. And in about 2-3 minutes, they're going, how come I'm not interested in solar? That doesn't make sense. I should look at numbers. Why am I not taking a look at this? Okay, I'll take a look. Like, that's where the service comes from. You being one of the 4 or 5 guys in a headset talking to this person, why is it 1 or 4 or 5? When they start clicking on that button that says, is solar free in your zip code, and now they're on a call with a solar salesman in a call center, they've clicked on 5 of those buttons. They're going to have 5 or 6 of those conversations. Your job is me too. Me too. Why should you pick me instead of them too, right? And that's a great job, and that's a good salesman's job. It's not a bad job. It's just not, it doesn't have the same value. I don't want to work for the amount of money that pays. I want to have the actual value, which is to wake somebody up, have them look, sit down, I'm their solar guy. They sign up and move forward today, because I've helped them understand that making this decision, helping them make the decision and moving forward today is the value to them, and that's the value I provide them. And then I get paid, and I get paid according to the value. And so I'm going to pick the high value job, every single time.
Love it. Hey, I told you guys this was going to be the most inspirational, motivational, and educational podcast that the solar industry has ever seen, and it's happening right now. You guys are witnessing it. Glad you guys are here. If you guys haven't already, make sure you guys do like this video. Share this video with somebody on Facebook, and we've just got 3 more questions. These are going to be the best questions that you guys have heard so far, so I'm very excited. So with that being said, Mike, what would you say is a story or an experience that's happened within the last year, since we first met last year, that has kind of had like a profound impact or perspective shift for you in the solar industry?
Well, I tell you, I told you about my daughter and her BFF cousin, my niece. They're the most spectacular people I know in solar. My daughter is literally administrating a whole bunch of my stuff that I do, but she's a great closer as well. My niece is out there, and she's still one of the greatest appointment setters of all time. I've been recruiting her sister, my other niece, literally for years, but she was just banging it in real estate. And so, that's nice, Uncle Mike, but I'm a baller in real estate, Well, real estate changed over the last year. You never know when you plant a seed, when that seed is going to come to fruition. And, I'm like, Tiffany, how's that real estate thing working out? And she started talking to her sister, who was, knocking on doors, making money in solar. And so she said, you know what, Uncle Mike, I'm going to give it a try. She came on board maybe October, November of last year. It's coming on up about a year. And she's at the top of the Sun Solar Solutions leaderboard.
Wow.
This month, last month, month before. I'm kind of pissed off, though. I think she's making more money than me now. And so literally generating a 6-figure income, per month. She's selling, over 200 kilowatts last month. I think she will do that again this month. So to see, you're hoping to make an impact on somebody in your career. To have that impact be on a member of your family, and to see her and her sister and my daughter. My son is my digital door knocker. He does our Facebook ads. And my other son, Eric, he's a writer. He's a journalist. I have articles that appear in newspapers every month. He writes those articles, and so, his name's on there, and he's writing about the solar industry. This month, we're writing about the ACC, the Arizona Corporation Commission. What's going on there? What's the value of a kilowatt hour? So to see it's something that's this powerful, and you're successful at it, it's impossible to not have people around you be attracted to it. It's one thing to attract strangers that go, oh, I want to make a lot of money. It's another to have family say, I want to be with you, Uncle Mike. I want to be with you, Dad. I want to be a part of this. And almost like, it's almost like, oh, I don't know. Now, like, the pressure's on. If a stranger fails, you feel bad. When somebody in your family fails and it's kind of on you, that would be a lot more devastating. So that's produces a lot of joy. It also produces a lot of inspiration to make sure, we get where we're going.
Well said. Well, that kind of segues into our second to last question, which is a question that I'm actually really curious about, right? So obviously you've done more than most people are going to do in their entire lifetime, for sure. What is it that keeps you going so hard instead of, cashing in like Luna, right? What is it that keeps you grinding so hard?
My hat's off to Oscar Lunar, had the big exit, many millions of dollars, good for him. But, I have a different vision, and I also have a different why, I think. We always talk about what's your why. This week, tomorrow, is the due date for my very first grandbaby, okay? And so she'll be here sometime in the next few days. I'm excited as can be. Get on a plane this afternoon. Wouldn't not be there. But that brings into, light a whole nother aspect to what we all have as a why, which is, our children and their children. And I've really been focusing on generational wealth. I've been reading about Teddy Roosevelt. I'm following RFK Jr. Like, he's on every single podcast right now. And he's somebody we should be looking at, by the way. He's pro-environment, he's pro-green, he's pro-solar, and he's pro-free market. So he believes in a lot of the things that I believe in. I'd love to see him come and speak to us. But the real issue is Teddy Roosevelt, RFK Jr., doing what they're doing. They're only able to do that because they were the product of generational wealth. So why am I doing this? One of the things I really see is, having an educational foundation for my children's grandchildren, right? So maybe they're going to MIT or Juilliard because of, I was the person in my family that was able to get that started, which is such a distance from the idea that I started with, even at just the beginning of solar. And where I come from Irish immigrants, we followed that progression. The immigrants who were literally, slave labor, digging the tunnels under New York City. Then my dad's a cop, and then his kids go to college. And this is the time, right? This is where we have the resources to really do something. So I really see that generational wealth. And so I'm pushing for, and I talk every single day in the No Matter What call. It's a daily mastermind about this 9-figure image, this 9-figure result, this 9-figure legacy. And so today I'm really looking at, it's not just, I can pretty much do anything I want now, but what is that? I can't really build a legacy. I don't have that kind of wealth to do that. So I really see solar as an opportunity to build any level of wealth. I'm really excited, by the way, that in May 9th, my vision has been me on a yacht in the Mediterranean, rolling into Monaco to play in a poker tournament or something. You can have your vision, I'll have mine, right? So I'm going to go play. I'm going to be taking the dinghy into Monaco to go play in a poker tournament this afternoon. Well, that's actually coming true this week, this spring, I'm sorry. We're actually going to be in the Mediterranean. We're going to be on a yacht. There's only room for 40 couples. Sam Taggart and I are doing this together, but it's an actual 9-figure mastermind. We're going to help people build that vision so that they can see it, believe it, start to achieve it, have it be just falling into motion and on its way. So I'll be on a yacht with Sam and many, many, many of my friends. Lots of high-level solar people on that yacht, but we'll be living that lifestyle while we're building out the vision and then seeing the path to get there. So building out generational wealth, also having the lifestyle, that is the lifestyle that I would like to have at the end of my solar career. And so that's what keeps me going. I'm beelining for it. I can see it. I'm heading there. I'm going to be there. I'm on the way. I'm there.
Boom. Well said. Guys, I told you, this is going to be the greatest podcast the solar industry has ever seen, and it's happening right now. And that couldn't have been a better segue to my very last question for you. All right. So everybody wants to know, what is Michael O'Donnell saying on the doors right now? I remember last year, this is what you said. You said, homeowner says, hey, I'm not interested. You say, yeah, that literally has nothing to do with why I'm here.
Yes.
It's about the new Green Deal. Right. And really what it is the Inflation Reduction Act. And what's happened is billions of dollars have been allocated for this program. So you can either take that $15,000, you can pay it from them taxing coal, oil, and fossil fuels, or you can put that $15,000 into the value of your house.
Yeah.
And we're just kind of here to see what camp you're in and help you guys out with making the right decision. So now what are you saying on the doors? Fast forward 12 months later, industry's changed a little bit, interest rates, everything. What are you saying on the doors now?
Same thing I say in the title of my new book, which is called Go Solar or Else, right? So literally consumers don't have a choice. They will be solar. We're not going to let them burn stuff forever. The question is how long and why should it be now instead of some other time? And the question to the consumer is why, now my lollipop's in the dirt. Why this guy just popped my lollipop out of my mouth that I was thinking I'm fine not being solar now. I think it's, I'll just go solar later. Why don't I do that? So our job is to really confront that idea and place a new idea into their head. And the reality of the situation is if they don't go solar now, they really are doomed. And that's because they have their wagon tied to a engine, and that engine is going over a cliff. And so between now and the next 10 years, the use of fossil fuels are going to drop very dramatically. Goldman Sachs has us at the highest ever usage of fossil fuels, and 10 years from now, literally not down to zero, but down to about maybe 20% of that by the year 2050. Why is that? Is it going to become illegal? No, it's going to become very, very expensive. And so why do I say 5 years to knock on doors? Because in 5 years, electricity is going to be so expensive that you're not going to need a world-class salesman to change their mind at the door, because they're going to have got their electricity bill and go, Jesus, we need to go solar. Click, push the button. So I'll have a headset on in 5 years because the herd will be moving, because their electric bill will be doing the door knocking and saying, you got to go solar like right now because of the price. So the cost of fossil fuel electric will rise so dramatically that the consumer will just not really have a choice. So they will be going solar, but by then they would have given the utility company that last 5 years of money. By then they will have lost net metering. So if you've got net metering in your market, dude, I would like give me a pliers. I'll take this eye tooth and just rip it out of my head with a pair of pliers and no anesthetics if I could sell net metering for 3 more months in my market. You know how much money I would personally, I would quit any kind of executive role in my company or doing anything for MOD, and I would spend 20 hours a day on the doors and selling if I had net metering in that market. So if you have it in your market, you need to understand the gravity of that and be able to bring the gravity of that to the door, and the fact that they won't have that very soon. Who in the world would have thought California would have lost that? Who in the world would have thought the guy who wants to be president, Gavin Newsom, would agree with the utility companies that consumers should go from 40 cents? You know, net metering was giving them 40 cents on a one-to-one basis, and they should reduce the consumer's payout on their investment to solar to 4 cents. What the F is going on there? And I'll tell you what's going on there. Powerful interests are putting their money where it needs to be to have people who make those decisions have that idea. So one, we got to be involved in voicing that other idea. That's why I'm standing in front of the Arizona Corporation Commission. I'll be there and again in October. But you know, we're not as organized as those fossil fuel guys. They got 100 years worth of retained earnings to apply to that question and to those lobbying efforts. We don't have that. So we'll have to be smarter. We'll have to be louder. And at the end of the day, kind of rely on the fact that, you know, like I said earlier, not even an army can stop an idea who's come. Why are people getting in the way? Why are people getting in the way? It doesn't make any sense.
Fascinating. Yeah, we always say we don't know what's going to happen, and that's our favorite part, but we're going to be smarter. We're going to be louder. This industry that we're in, guys, we're an army, right? And we're going to rise up together.
We're the army.
We're the army. Mm-hmm. And so I want to have you guys comment in the section below. What was your most valuable thing that you learned from this podcast? And from the bottom of our heart at, you know, Snapper Academy, Mod Academy, you know, Sun Solar Solutions, you know, Nevo, we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching this podcast. Our first podcast, we got tens of thousands of views over the next couple of years. This podcast right here is going to generate hundreds of thousands of views. And our hope for you guys is just that, you know, we can just be the group of success-driven individuals that compete at the highest level, right, you know, that believe it's our duty and obligation to succeed, and that nobody will do it for us. We have to do it. So with that being said, Mod, what's your final words of wisdom, advice, encouragement for everybody watching this video? And let's bring this podcast home, brother.
Get off your ass. Go knock on doors. Go be of service. Land on a doorstep and help somebody see that. Don't be thinking that you're Mary Kay knocking on doors, you know, hey, we could make your cosmetics 30% cheaper and we got a new shade of blush. You need to be on their door going, I am Paul Revere, MRFer. Like, I'm coming down the street saying, and I don't have good news, right? The reason people don't like knocking on doors is because what they're doing isn't working. They're trying to show up with good news and talk about neighbors' puppies and, you know, make a friend at the door with, hey, I see your bumper sticker, you're a Green Bay fan, you know, that might work if you're selling a $700-800 ticket. That doesn't work when you're selling a $50,000 ticket. So start acting and appropriately addressing the customer like, I'm here to help you make a $50,000 decision while not spending any money. And that's a different approach. It's a different idea, and it's Paul Revere coming down the street. I'm not here with good news. I'm here with bad news. And the British aren't coming. They're here. They're at the top of the hill, and they're coming down. So be that. Change that message at the door so that people stop responding the way they're responding and start going, what did you say? Yeah, that's what I said. And know what to say. How do you say that? And that's going to come from understanding what's going on in the world, and then also listening to you know, opportunities like this to get it really boiled down to the language and the door tracks. What's going on in the world? Why are they doomed? Why do they have to go solar or else?
Boom. Can't wait for the book. Again, if you guys haven't already read the first book, we'll have the link in the bio right here for no matter what. And Mod, we appreciate you. We love you.
Great to be with you.
And thanks again for an incredible podcast. We'll see you guys in the next one.